relationship, friendship, conversation. I'd like to talk now about story. The story that we have to tell, that we've got to tell. We have an incredible story to tell. But let me ask you to just imagine something. You're in a lift. You're at the top of the lift. You're going down to the ground floor. It's a tall building, so it will take 90 seconds to get to the bottom. There's somebody else in the lift with you who's noticed that you're wearing a cross. And he says to you, "Hey, would you be one of those Christian people? I've been wondering, what is this Christianity about?" Okay, so you've got this incredible opportunity. There's 70 seconds left. What do you say? Now, you're probably going to talk about God's love. And you're probably going to talk about our fallenness, our brokenness, our sin, how Jesus came to live and die for us, that we might be forgiven, accepted, and know life to the full. And you've got 70 seconds to say that. And you know, it's good to be able to do that, to know the gospel in shorthand, if you like. Just as it's really good to be able to tell your story too. Your story of how grace has come to you, of how God has loved and accepted you and blessed you into life, life to the full. And to be able to tell that story in not too many words is really, really good. But it's also important to know this, that the story is bigger than that. The gospel is richer than that. It's not confined, if you like, it's not limited to what we might see as a narrow telling of the basics of the gospel. And knowing the gospel story is really important for us to be able to share the gospel with others. I remember a young lady who works for us in the church. She's not a Christian. She works in our playgroup. Sitting with her and with one other person in the room, also who was also a Christian like me. And Heidi was saying, "Do you know, I don't think I'll ever be good enough for this church business. I mean, if you knew what I got up to when I was young, if you knew how I treated my parents." And Kat, who was there with me, said, "Can I just tell you a story? It's one of the stories that Jesus told." And she began to tell this story about a son who came to his father and said, "Father, I can't wait for you to die. Give me my inheritance now." And taking what was given, the son went into a far-off land. He wasted it on wild living and eventually returned home to his father in rags. Now, we told this story kind of together. It was a really beautiful moment. And we got to the bit of how the father, far from rejecting his prodigal son, threw his arms round him, revealing the heart of God to a broken world. And we could see that Heidi got the point. We didn't go on to lead her in a prayer of commitment to Christ, because in that moment, that was what was needed. But you see how knowing the story, the whole story, allows us to be able to draw what's needed and make connection with the person's life where they are on their journey. I think that's what we see Jesus doing here. Jesus brings the story of God's salvation in such an appropriate and beautiful and human way to this woman. You know, when she says, "Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us this well?" he could easily have said, "Well, actually, yes, I am." But he doesn't. He gets artfully into conversation, and he leads to that point through conversation around living water, through an amazing awareness, a supernatural awareness of this woman's life, which, when he speaks of it, opens her up to that incredible revelation: I am the Messiah. I am the one you are waiting for.